Jerald Horst is the co-author of The Angler's Guide to Fishes of the Gulf of Mexico, and Jerald and Glenda Horst are co-authors of the Louisiana Seafood Bible, Shrimp. We're here with Jerald and Glenda Horst. Hi, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Could you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write the book?
We love seafood.
And why did you decide to start with shrimp?
I did when we debuted the book in the French Quarter at the same time that the first delivery of shrimp was made into the city just 2 weeks ago. It's a symbolic event. I introduced it to the press and I said, in Louisiana we have a love affair with oysters, and crawfish are our totem, but shrimp is king. So that's pretty much why we felt that we should start with shrimp. The biggest audience, and truthfully speaking, people eat shrimp all over the United States.
Perfect. So could you tell us a little bit about how the shrimping industry has changed over the years and some of the major issues facing it today?
Well, from an industry perspective, rather than from the table perspective, the shrimp industry has fallen on hard times, I guess would be the term for it. Imports of farm-raised foreign shrimp have flooded the marketplace. Supply and demand situation, and the average consumer throughout the rest of the country, the interior of the country, or the west or the north especially, they really don't know the difference in shrimp. Shrimp is a shrimp is a shrimp is a shrimp. They buy based on price. So they have terribly eroded the market for shrimp. Demand is up. Demand is probably 10 times what it was 25 years ago, but we have 20 times as many farm-raised shrimp coming in. So shrimpers are struggling very much. Now there are silver linings in that for the consumer, people that like to eat shrimp. For one thing, shrimpers are more than willing than they ever were before to sell directly to people. And nowadays, both of us find that the farmer's market or the fresh market business is really the growth business. Glenda's involved in developing a farmer's market in our little town that we live in now in Franklin. So people want to put a face on their seafood or their food. They want to know who raised it. People are interested in reducing their carbon footprint by buying local. Being a locavore is kind of a badge of honor. And that it kind of works hand in hand with our shrimpers producing a really quality product and looking people in the face that they sell the shrimp to. It creates a bond, a food bond.
And would you say the wild-caught Louisiana shrimp have a big quality or a taste difference from the imported shrimp?
I'm biased. I think so, Glenda.
Yeah, I think so.
And the book has not only a history of the shrimping industry and information about shrimp, but also, of course, some delicious recipes. So where did those come from?
Those came from a variety of places. While Jerald was working for LSU Extension Service, he was a fisheries biologist and he worked with the seafood industry in New Orleans area. And every month he put out a newsletter, and at the end was a recipe. So some of the recipes we supplied, but a lot were supplied by the commercial fishermen or their wives. And so we collected quite a few over 30 years.
We have a professional kitchen at home, and we cook a lot. Glenda's an excellent cook. She comes from a commercial fishing family, so they grew up eating seafood. I have to say, she's pickier than I am.
And so how long did it take you to do the research and test the recipes and put it all together? It was a long-term process, I guess.
For this, yeah, I guess you could say so, because we've collected them over the 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then we, once we sat down to write it, how long do you think? Maybe a year?
It's the culmination of a lifetime of work. How do you measure 30 years worth of time spent inside of an industry, learning it from the inside out. All the material that's in that book on, what additives are in shrimp, if there are any, how to make good choices, how to avoid getting defrauded, how to recognize the different species of shrimp. What are the differences in them? You can't just go and do a year's worth of research and learn that. That was 30 years worth of work.
So if you could, name a couple, one or two tips or things that people should know about shrimp, what do you think the top ones are?
Got some good ones.
Don't buy shrimp with phosphates because they don't cook well. You will always think they're undercooked when they're not. They just never cook right. And when he came home with some one time, they were bad, and I ended up throwing them away when he wasn't looking.
That's true. She's pickier and I'm tighter. You don't get phosphates if you buy shrimp from shrimpers, and you don't get phosphates if you buy shrimp from some processors or dealers. But unfortunately, it's all too endemic within the industry to use this food additive. And it's certainly not a health hazard, but it causes the shrimp to bind water into the flesh. And of course, the shrimp weighs more. So people are buying shrimp plus water, and the water never cooks out. It's almost impossible to cook out. So it stays kind of clear and translucent and never turns that beautiful white. And rule number one in cooking shrimp is?
Don't overcook.
And when you're trying to cook something and you've got to cook it 20 or 30 minutes because it's not turning the right color, you're overcooking the product and still not getting the product you want.
Very good. So what else do we have to look forward to? What's our next volume in the Bible?
Well, next one is crawfish.
Ooh.
And I mentioned that crawfish is our totem. It is. It's our symbol. So next up is crawfish. There was a toss-up between crawfish and crabs. Crabs will be the volume number 3, and it will follow shortly behind crawfish. Finfish, which that one's going to be tough to get into one between two covers of the same size as this one, because we're dealing with 100 different species that are sold or that are available for catch in the state. That's number 4, and then last is oysters.
Wonderful.
Someone asked me the other day, what about turtles
And
and alligators and squid and snails, clams, all of these, and we even have scallops here. We've got a lot. Louisiana's a cornucopia of seafood. And I thought to myself, gee, I've got the next 2.5 years laid out of work. My goodness, do I want to tackle a 6th volume? At this stage, I think the answer is no, but it would be interesting.
And do you two enjoy working together to put these books together?
Yes, we do. We've always cooked together a lot, so it's, now he does most of the technical writing.
Actually, she's my editor-in-chief, and then on top of it, she does all the writing for the recipes. She organizes them and writes them completely from top to bottom. So, and to tell you the truth, the work involved in testing the recipes is really something, because we don't want to print anything that isn't tested. And right now, I'm telling you, we're pretty tired of eating crawfish and crabs, because we've been eating a lot of those, and unfortunately, with me doing the writing that I'm doing, because I also freelance write for magazines, the bulk of the testing work is falling on her shoulders. And I miss it. I miss being in the kitchen as much as I used to be.
I miss the help too.
Thank you so much for joining us today and talking to us a little bit about your book. And if people want more information, they can visit www.pelicanpub.com to learn all about the Louisiana Seafood Bible shrimp and to see information about the upcoming volumes as they come out. Thank you.